Hello, my name is Michael Howell, and I wanted to take a brief moment to talk to you about my experience with Pocket Prep. I downloaded Pocket Prep in February of 2020. If you recall, we were going through a global pandemic. My class was discontinued for a short period of time, and during that time, I had discovered Pocket Prep and was utilizing that to further my studies. When we returned to class, I was finding myself being able to answer questions from quizzes, tests, one-on-one verbal scenarios. That was information I was pulling from things that I learned through the app. And I continued using Pocket Prep until I took my national registry in December of 2020, and my test ended at question 80, and I had passed my first attempt. During my schooling, I had utilized other resources for preparing for the National Registry, but I largely used Pocket Prep because it has a very intuitive interface that does make learning easier. Furthermore, I still continue using it to this day just to help continue keeping my knowledge sharp. I am the paramedic in charge on my truck, and I currently have a medic student. And every morning after we check our truck off, we go over 10 questions, and I push Pocket Prep to ensure his success when he takes the test. Furthermore, when I was in school, I had a couple peers that struggled with the National Registry, and I urged them to use Pocket Prep, and those individuals passed the National Registry their following attempt after utilizing Pocket Prep. So that's a little bit about my experience, and if you're a medic student or if you're in EMT school, I cannot recommend enough Pocket Prep. The most helpful thing I found through the app was the rationales for the right answers. Not only was it helpful to understand why the right answer was right, but it also explained why the wrong answers were wrong, and even explained what conditions would need to be changed in order for that wrong answer to be right. Pocket Prep absolutely helped me to improve. Again, my personal story is my class was going through the year of the global pandemic in 2020, and I absolutely needed some resource to continue sharpen my knowledge because you might be quarantined the following week. So having been in an environment where the learning was start and stop multiple times, Pocket Prep was a constant source of information and studying. After my National Registry test had concluded, I was very confident that I had passed. My test ended at question 80, and I knew that meant one of two things. Either I did very well or I did very bad. But I knew that during the test, I was answering these questions with confidence, and I was answering the questions before I was even reading what the multiple choice answers were. So when the test ended at question 80, I knew there was no way that I had failed that test, so that only meant one thing: I had done very well. The only thing I have to share regarding Pocket Prep is if you're gearing to prepare yourself into taking the test and you're a few months out from taking the National Registry and you don't have a game plan in mind, I highly recommend downloading Pocket Prep and do a minimum of 50 questions a day. And if you can maintain that discipline and you can work towards averaging an 80%, you will pass the National Registry.